Well, good grief, Mother Hubbards, WWE went and did it. And I got to enjoy this in a very special way because, of course, last night's episode of Smackdown was in Berlin, Germany, so they aired it live over here in real time. So there I was at normal hour during the 3 stages of hell when Drew McIntyre, in the worst way possible, and I mean that in a positive way, crawled out of the steel cage to win the WWE Championship. After some proper shenanigans, I was like, right, 1, bravo to WWE for actually pulling the trigger, but 2, and maybe this is the more important bit, doing it in a way that was super creative, super different, and basically told you, well, you better watch SmackDown next week, because we're going to tell you 42,701 stories. I loved it. I would call it one of the best moments of the year. Feels slightly redundant, given that it's, the 9th of January, whatever the flub. We're going to talk about it. Before we do, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Just interact as much as possible. But that's right, Drew McIntyre's a flipping WWE champion. And let's not forget we did this 3 weeks before the Royal Rumble, which is crazy. Let's not forget we did this in a 3 stages of hell match, which you don't usually get, and also we did it on television. I mean, it's probably not that far ago, but I can't remember the last time a World Championship changed hands on TV, which is another reason why it felt so damn good. Drew McIntyre was getting cheered and Cody Rhodes was getting booed. I don't think it's a big deal. Some people are like, well, every time this happens, I told you eventually the fans would turn. They didn't turn. They just wanted to see a title change, as did you, as did I. And it wasn't necessarily about Cody Rhodes losing. It was about the fact, why the flub are we doing the 10th match, not really, between Cody and Drew if Drew finally isn't going to him. But even then we doubted it. I think it helps Cody's character. I think it massively helps Drew's character. Even if Drew McIntyre's already lost that championship, it doesn't matter. I mean, obviously he hasn't, there's no shows. But him winning it was more important than what he does with it now, although of course you want to make sure you follow up. And the way we use Jacob for 2, let's just do it. Let's be weird. Let's do an actual round of applause. Is that a bit far down? Probably, a bit sexual. Didn't mean to do that. But when Jacob came out in a hood, I facepalmed. I was like, we got to get rid of the hood. I like the hood because it makes me laugh, but it's become a redundant thing to do. However, WWE are actually going to get one up on me. He stops Drew McIntyre from leaving the cage, right? After Cody and Drew had both fall on the top rope and hurt their penises. So that established, at least from Jacob for 2's point of view, he blamed Drew McIntyre. I think Drew McIntyre could be a suspect in who attacked me in 2025. He then punches Cody in the face. Now, the way that they did this, it felt like it was one of those whoopsies. I was just so, enraged. I was going to hit everything that moved. No, he then acknowledged it was Cody. He murks this guy. So I was like, wow, that's interesting. And then, in the worst way possible, because he's an awful human being and he's swarmy and he's disgusting and he's a horrible heel. Drew McIntyre's like, well, I am beaten up, but I can still crawl to the floor. And he becomes the WWE champion. Everybody benefited from this. Jacob for 2 is in the main event scene. Looks like a badass. He'll beat up Drew. He'll beat up Cody. There's a rumor that maybe it's going to turn out Cody Rhodes was the guy that attacked Drew McIntyre, that attacked Jacob for 2 backstage. I wouldn't do that. That to me is a Vince Russo swerve. Well, nobody will see it coming. It doesn't match his character's motivations. And some people are like, what a great way to turn Cody heel. It's a lame way to turn Cody heel. If you're going to turn Cody heel, treat us like mature people. Kids can understand that as well. Like, what would be his reason for beating up Jacob for 2? Even when I didn't like you, I thought you were a terrible person, and you, destroyed my house, which happens in wrestling a lot. The Cody Rhodes that has been presented to us on TV still wouldn't have approached it in a backhanded way. He would have confronted the guy head on. I want my characters to actually have believable choices in their life. Otherwise, wrestling becomes late 90s, which is super fun, don't get me wrong, but sometimes they just do stuff for the sake of doing it, because that's just what Vince Russo thought. Different conversation for a different day. But if WWE can come up with a good reason, it's fine, but don't just do it to turn Cody Rhodes heel. Also, it's not time for Cody Rhodes to turn heel. It's not the point. But you have left that question mark open. Why did he attack both of them? I think Cody, without the title, somehow feels stronger. Can't even explain that one. And Drew McIntyre, like I say, has benefited the most. Because if he had lost here, you would have had to have taken away from the main event scene. I think that's a terrible idea. I kind of feel, and maybe I'm being nuts here, that there's a Roman Reigns Drew McIntyre match in here somewhere. I'm now thinking, if we are going to do Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania, why can't Roman go in there as a champion? You can go one step further than that. If you are going to do Cody versus Roman 3, maybe the title doesn't even need to be on the line. I think it probably will, because they're the 2 baby faces of the company, or the 2 faces of the company. But their star power is so great. Maybe it's Drew McIntyre having a match with Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn finally wins the title there, because those 2 have fallen out time and time again. There is something exciting about all this. I think it reinvigorates the product. I think WWE needed something big in 2025, because in 2024, we were kind of doing the Cody stuff and wrapping up the Bloodline stuff. Then 2025, you have John Cena. In 2026, it was kind of like, well, I don't know what they're going to do now. So instantly, you're like, wow, that's interesting and that's different. And it's not like it didn't make sense. Also, the 3 stages of hell, what a great concept. Don't overdo it. But Drew McIntyre winning the first one by booting Cody right at the balls and claymoring and made me laugh. The crossroads on the table to end the Falls Count Anywhere looked absolutely, well, horrific in a good way. And the cage match is just different. There is a real, I think it went 40 minutes. Am I exaggerating? I don't know. But it was a long old match. It was commercial free as well, I believe. But to just, it's always interesting. It always kept you guessing. And of course we knew they were going to get to the cage. But especially after, what did Drew do? Drew hit a Claymore somehow. He threw Cody into the exposed turnbuckle and he hit the Claymore for a 1-2. Ooh, that got me. That was not going to win it now. And he still did. I saw someone say, oh, Drew McIntyre, he won it in the lamest way possible. He's a bad guy. What do you want him to do? Get a sword out, which he does have, and stab the dragon? No, I don't want him to be a hero. I want him to be a dickhead. And he was absolutely a dickhead. He should brag. I did it all by myself. And now Jacob for 2. Jacob for 2 is the best story. Why did he do all of this? And again, we put him right up there. I thought it was tremendous. Again, it was one of the best things of the year. It's 9 days. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing. But it was better than I expected. And I expected a lot because usually Cody and Drew are great together anyway. And I wouldn't have minded Cody winning. I just think it would have relegated Drew down the card. I don't think, unless he was all of a sudden going to get The Undertaker out of retirement and beat him, there are a few things that you could have done. Even if he had feud with Roman Reigns and beat Roman, Bronson Reed beat Roman in late 2025, which doesn't lessen Roman, but it does make the achievement less than what it would have been. Doesn't matter though. We didn't do that. WWE took a risk, I guess you can call it that. Again, Cody's in a better position. Jacob, absolutely. Drew McIntyre is the man. It makes me want to watch SmackDown. It justifies the 3 hours because if you're going to give me stuff like this, yeah, I'll sit through it. No notes. Absolutely brilliant. I gave it a golden up on What Culture Ups and Downs. I would do it here as well, but I'm not going to steal my own gimmick, which is a stupid thing to say. Excellent. I enjoyed the opening segment as well. I think putting Trick Williams in with major stars just tells the audience that may not be familiar with him. He is a major star. Last week it was Cody Rhodes. This week it was Randall Keith Orton. And I think, well, maybe I wasn't thinking. Trick Williams is so big, he's looking Randy Orton in the eye. He must be a legit 6'5", because I've met Randy Orton and he's just like, well, that's ridiculous. It's such a large human being. So it makes sense why WWE, especially the main roster, would want to do this. They have a back and forth on the mic. Trick Williams doesn't look worried about it at all until he slapped the mic out of Randy Orton's hand and it went flying into the crowd. I hope it didn't hurt anybody, but you could see in Trick Williams' face for about 1 second, he was like, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. But, you know, Randy sort of made it okay. Randy beats him up and The Miz comes in to get revenge. He gets laid out with an RKO to protect Trick Williams. And then Trick Williams beat Rey Fenix. It was a really good match. Trick did fine. Well, more than fine. But, you know, we're not going to talk about it in 10 years' time, but it was just a solid victory. I would have had him hit his finishing move and get the 1-2-3 just to establish that. But then you can argue, well, this establishes him as an absolute buffoon, right? Because most devastating move and you hold the tights. It's irrelevant. We don't need to spend time on it. And bless Rey Fenix for doing what he had to do. What I'm more interested in is this mini tournament that we've got. I'm going to forget the brackets because I'm an idiot. But it's Randy Orton versus The Miz, which makes sense. It's Trick Williams versus Matt Cardona. I think Matt Cardona's going to lose. It's Damian Priest versus Solo Sikoa. And it's Ilya Dragunov versus someone. My brain has defeated me. It will get there in just 1 second. But this is super interesting because we do those 4 matches over the coming week, either on both Raw and SmackDown or one of them. Then we give the 4-way at Sunday's main event, and the winner of that goes on to the Royal Rumble, I presume to take on Drew McIntyre. I mean, maybe Cody Rhodes somehow beats somebody up and sneaks his way into this. But Sami Zayn's the other one. Sorry, it just popped in my brain. It's Sami Zayn versus Ilya Dragunov. Did I say that already? I probably said that already. But of course, that's the rematch from when Ilya and Sami did the US title match. So you presume that Sami Zayn is going to win. So maybe it's Sami Zayn versus Drew at the Royal Rumble. I don't know. Super interesting though. Again, it just all of a sudden I did my big predictions for the Royal Rumble the other day. Throw that out the window because I don't know what I am talking about. I assume that Randy has to get to the final as well. I still think Randy was going to turn heel. So the best way to do that is to pick up on the story that we started telling a year or so ago because he lost against Gunther, then he lost against Cody Rhodes. Every time he gets this close, he gets screwed over. So maybe you can do something there as well. I like the fact that people like Damian Priest and Matt Cardona, Ilya Dragunov started to mention the WWE title. Very surprised, but then we got a justification before the end of the night. And I always think you want multiple people gunning for a championship because why wouldn't you? And also, I think Matt Cardona will probably lose to Trick Williams, right? I just think that's the way that WWE books. However, at the same time, Matt Cardona even mentioning it puts him in a far better position than he was 10 years ago, whenever the flub it was, or 5, 6 years ago, I suppose, when he was never in that bracket. Now, do I think he'll ever be the WWE champion? You never say never. But it's far more important that you're in a position where you get to chat about it, because only a few people are ever actually going to get that honor. I'd be totally fine with it. I think Matt Cardona is an inspiration and then some. But I did like it. It gets an interesting... If Cody had won, it'd be a bit of a lame way to get there. But with Drew winning it, all of a sudden you have to take the chess pieces and try and move them around. And Trick Williams is probably going to get to the final. And let's not forget, he also fell out with Sami Zayn. So you can argue that Trick Williams versus Sami Zayn is going to be that final. And let's say the four-way is... I'm going to forget someone. Let's say it's Randy versus Trick versus Sami. I can't remember the other people. But let's just say, why do you watch me? I don't know. Let's say it's a combination of those. These are some big stars, right? They really, really are. And even if we are talking about just Sammy, Trick, and Randy Orton, do you want to go that in with Trick that early? I'm not going to mind it. I'm going to talk about Jordynne Grace at the moment. I'd make her the women's champion. If you're going to call people up, why not just throw them into an amazing position? If it doesn't work out, you can change it. Not that Cody wasn't working out, but that's what WWE just did, and everybody seems over the moon about it because it's super interesting and it's super different. But yes, mostly Trick Williams being involved in all of this stuff right off the bat tells everyone he is going to be a major star. And some people think his in-ring work needs work. I disagree. I don't think everybody needs to be a 5-star merchant just to be a WWE main eventer, because he has everything else. Like, he just didn't... He was so effortless. All right, I can talk to you, Randy. I can be in the opening promo on SmackDown. They're too long, because now SmackDown is 3 hours, but that's much of a muchness. We don't need to talk about it. I think it's going to be a great year for Trick Williams. I think he probably will be the champion. Maybe not this year, but probably in 2027. And Obafemi too. He got another video. I don't want to go on about it, but I've said it once. I'll say it twice. Obafemi should win every single championship and hold them for 4,722 years. I'm not even joking. We'll talk about Jordynne Grace as well. She beat Alba Fire. I do think it's a shame that Trick, Javon, and Jordynne Grace have been called up, and every single story has just been, oh, hi, I'm on the show. Can I have a contract? That's why I like the Obafemi videos. We're building it. And it does feel like a supervillain or a superhero, depending how they want to use him, is about to come. I think we could have had more fun with it. Again, Javon Evans signing his contract during an ad break on Raw, not great. Nick Aldis just going, would you like to be on my show? Not great. I think WWE can have more fun with this, like they did in the main event, right? So I know they can do it. However, she goes out there, really good showcase match with Alba Fire, who just knows what she's doing. When, yeah, she gets in the face of Jade Cargill for the second week. Jade Cargill's like, it's my show. Get off my show. Because that's what all heel people say. If you want to do that match at the Royal Rumble and Jordynne Grace wins, I won't mind. I don't think she will. I think she'll lose, because I think we're going to do Bianca and Jade at WrestleMania. But I just liked it. Jordynne Grace was built for the main roster the day she joined NXT. And when you are making such changes to both rosters, she's absolutely somebody that should have been earmarked for either Raw or SmackDown. SmackDown is perfectly fine. And I think she's such a good worker that people forget, and she showed that last night, that she can get more out of Jade. That's what Bianca would be good at. That's what most people are good at, right? You have to sort of sit down like a matchmaker and go, who can get the most? Where's the strength and the weaknesses? So this was good. Her finish is called the Beast Mode. Was it called that in NXT? It's a stupid name for a finisher. Not that it matters. But yes, we've kind of now established all of these people, right? And it's interesting. I think Obafemi's going to be on Raw, because you've got Obafemi on Raw, you've got Javon Evans on Raw, and you've got Trick and Jordynne Grace on SmackDown, which is a pretty good mixing of the minds, or whatever you want to call it. But I am excited about it. And also, before I do forget, we did Julia versus Alexa Bliss on this show. No idea where that came from. No idea how Alexa Bliss got a US title match. However, Alexa Bliss is a star. Julia won. Loads of cheating, like Lash Legend, Nia Jax, and Kiana James were all doing stuff. But it worked, because, of course, the tag team scene, and they mentioned that. Like, Charlotte Flair wasn't there because she's ill. And then Nia Jax and Lash Legend's like, oh, she's ill, is she? She doesn't like you because you're going after singles belt. And the commentators, once Lash and Nia Jax were beating Alexa Bliss up afterwards, made it very clear they still want those tag team titles, right? I always get worried when tag team people start doing singles championships or singles runs. Please do not forget about the tag titles. But Julia cut a promo. She won another match, and she actually has some character. If we could just get her a major feud now, which arguably could be Jordynne Grace, so maybe we do sort of go back to that, which we've done at NXT, it will work wonders. I'm quietly confident. That's only because for over a year, this US belt was totally redundant. This was better. The MFTs versus the White Six wasn't great. I mean, not because anything bad happened. The match was fine. It's perfectly acceptable, and they all know what they're doing. I just don't care. And that sounds horrible. I don't know if wrestlers watch this show or not. I'm certainly not trying to take shots at them. Like Solo Sikoa was number 10 in my top 10 wrestlers of the year because he entertains me. I don't necessarily care about, oh my gosh, you do such great matches all the time. Just want to laugh at someone. Not laugh at someone, but I just want to watch someone go, man, I'm having a good time. And Solo Sikoa is so good at doing that because he's such a funny dude. But I don't know what the story is. I just don't care. And that sounds horrible. I think that sounds like I don't care about the wrestlers. But no, I don't care about the wrestlers themselves and the position they've been put in. I quite like the idea that Solo Sikoa touched the lantern. Bo Dallas was like, no, get off my lantern, Uncle Howdy. Then he got hit with all the finishes. Tama Tonga getting the pin is interesting. I think he may be the next US champion, which I'd be a big fan of. I would do the tag team match next week or whatever it was. Pick a side, it doesn't matter, either of them could be the champion, and then let's just move on to something else. The Smackdown tag division is something that needs a file lit under its ass. Given that the Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso are the Raw Tag Team Champions right now, although I think that could tie into a different story. I know it's old. Simon, shut up, you say it's all the time. I would merge those titles. I think right now, after this match next week, if you merge the Raw and Smackdown titles and you treat it like the women's one, what crazy world we're living in, it'd be so much better. They're not going to do that, but I don't want to call it the low point of the show. It's just kind of nutty. Conor Hayes versus Shinsuke Nakamura I thought was great, though. Again, Shinsuke Nakamura is not the performer he once was, but he's still Shinsuke Nakamura. And what another amazing win for Carmelo Hayes to rack up. So I was a big fan of that. And Carmelo Hayes, because he didn't really do much in 2025, given that we just had these NXT call-ups, he kind of feels like he could be part of that a little bit, as long as we continue on with what we're doing right now. It's been really, really good. And Ilya Dragunov kind of went, we have to fight again one day. But he's going after the WWE title first. I wouldn't do that. I would bring in somebody else. It's not going to be Tommaso Ciampa. Like we saw Axiom punch Nathan Frazier in the face. It then turned out it was Johnny Gargano under an Axiom mask when Axiom appeared from behind a box to chase him off. You have to go back and watch it. I've said this on 2 videos now. It's hilarious. What was he doing? But I didn't even notice last week. I didn't even talk about it. I knew he wasn't there, Tommaso Ciampa, but sometimes people aren't there. So you still have DIY, but it's DIY sans Tommaso. Sometimes we don't see Candice LeRae either. Apparently he's done. Contract up in a couple of months, whenever it is. He's not going to resign. He wants to explore outside opportunities. Good for that guy, I say. You always got to bet on yourself and believe in your tum-tum. It's a massive shame. And given that Johnny Gargano is feuding with Axiom, or Fraxium, somebody's going to have to be his new friend. I have no idea who that could be. I'm trying to think of someone from NXT you could call up. And Ethan Page would be good. I think that's going to happen. Ethan Page should be on the main roster. Fair play. I would imagine Tommaso Ciampa is probably going to AEW, would be my guess. I have no sources. That's complete speculation. But given his singles run at NXT, he probably believes I can have amazing matches with that roster, which he can. I presume they must be friendly. And he wants to make sure he either ends his career or gives that version of himself a proper run, which quite clearly is never going to happen on the main roster. I mean, he kind of had it as the jackass thingamajig with Ilya Dragunov, but then we drew a line under it. We wait and see, but I have no problem with wrestlers jumping ship. If Chris Jericho comes to WWE, awesome. If Ciampa goes to AEW, awesome. If one day Kenny Omega comes to WWE, awesome. If one day Roman Reigns goes to AEW, awesome. It's fun for the fans. It's good for the business. I don't think Roman Reigns is going to AEW. So I just hope he smashes it, really. And I hope all wrestlers smash it, because I'm not an insane person. And I think that was mostly it from SmackDown. My brain is clearly going at 100 miles an hour and I'm forgetting things, like all the matches that we're meant to do next week. But given the state of SmackDown at some point in 2025, and the fact we just added an extra hour to it, which was a little bit worrying, I thought this was so much better. Let's not forget that Aleister Black has to come back at one point and he's got to do stuff. There's other characters as well that we could reintroduce. And I don't think Damian Priest is going to get through to the World Championship match. He may get through to the Final Four, but you got to do something with him as well. And I really like Damian Priest, so that extra hour can easily be mopped up, especially now because Trick's on the show and Jordan Grace is on the show. I wouldn't call it a great episode of SmackDown because I did think there was some lulls, but the finish was so good, I don't think it matters. And that went on for a good 45 minutes plus, if not longer. It was just excellent. It was a PLE sort of pay-per-view quality match. I just thought it was tremendous. And getting that title change, you almost forgot everything that happened before. So maybe WWE realized that, like, we don't do too much because the only thing people is going to be talking about is a brand new WWE champion. But just absolutely the right move to make. And all wrestling companies can take risks like this. Even if you get 2 weeks down the line, we're like, oh no, we made a mistake. You can change it back and no one's going to mind. I will take a Drew McIntyre 2-week reign over Drew McIntyre losing last night. It's not going to do anything for him. You can find ways and means to take the championship of someone, and it's not going to be a problem. I think he'll hold it to the Elimination Chamber, which is a solid month. And the issue is that Roman Reigns held that belt for 1,316 days. And now there is, understandably, a new wave of fans. I think you have to do that in order to be a successful champion. Not at all. You can hold it for a day, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 years. It all depends on the story, and you have to serve the story first. And I think that's what WWE did here. So yes, big fan of Smackdown. You can probably ignore 3/4 of it, but absolutely watch that main event. I'm sure you've already seen it though, so please do let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen, which is me talking about the Royal Rumble. It's funny now. There's still predictions in there, but it's quite amusing. Otherwise, it is Simon316. If you want to come tell me how stupid I am on social media, patreon.com/Simon316 to support me there, and it's screenofmine.com/Simon, and then use the code Simon to get money off best supplements there are. Cameo, TikTok, and Pro Wrestling T, search for my name. And people that have been on my Instagram, you would have seen a few photos of a project I shot the other day. I'm not revealing much of it, but it is a joke chat show thingamajig, a bit like RJ City used to do, but this project's been in the works for a lot longer than him saying he's not going to do it anymore, so it's not exactly the same, but I am going to share a teaser trailer soon, so you can look out for that. I appreciate you, my friends. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you next week.